Hey, everybody, it's Paul here for CCM Magazine and the Christian Rock 20 Countdown with Jen Ledger.
Hey, how's it going?
It's going good. So I'm going to guess that there's some excitement brewing in the Skillet camp because we're like a month away from the new record.
We are officially, today is the 1 month mark before this album comes out. And it's like, we are so excited because we've been working on it for 3 years now. So we've had some of these songs in our pocket for so long. And just the fact that it's actually just around the corner is like, it's painful. It's like painfully exciting. Like, can we just have this album out already? So yeah, but we've got some really good, I think you guys are going to be really happy. I personally, I don't know if I'm allowed to say this because I'm a part of the band, but because John and Cory are the main writers, I feel okay. But like, I personally feel like it's some of the best music we've ever done, and I am so excited for everyone to hear it.
Fantastic. Now, this is going to be the first record that you guys have released since you've also become a solo artist as well.
Yeah.
So do you feel like that's changed anything for you in the band as far as feeling like your role in the band or just kind of the input that you put into Skillet songs?
That's a great question. I feel like for me, I have a new level of admiration for the Coopers because, you know, I've been the drummer for Skillet for almost 12 years now, and I've just really enjoyed it. It's like I used to come up, I play the drums, and I have fun, you know? And whereas like stepping into Ledger last year and running my own business, you forget that having a band is also a business, you know what I mean?
Take notes, people.
Just saying yeah, exactly. You think it's just playing music and getting to write songs, but it's a whole nother thing with big decisions. And so I've stepped into that a little now, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is just... how do you buy T-shirts to sell? This is also confusing, you know? It's just like, and honestly, like just seeing how John and Cory handle it with such grace, and they never compromise. They're just always above board, and they handle so much. And Skillet is just such an incredible, you know, it's an incredible force in the world. Like God uses it to touch people in Russia, in Australia, in Europe, and then obviously here in the US. And you forget that it's actually also a business, and the amount of money and investment and head work and like just brain power that it is to run a successful business. I have a whole newfound level of respect because that side of it is one thing, but then on the other hand, like actually making sure you have the material, writing 100 songs and hoping that 12 are good enough. Like those guys work so hard. I've experienced this much of it, and I'm like, I'm so tired. This is so hard, you know. And they've been doing it for so long, and I feel like I just get to learn from the best. So I'd say that's the biggest thing that's changed since the last album to this one. I'm learning a lot, and it's really cool, and I love that God's teamed me up with these people.
Fantastic. So on the new record, it's called Victorious.
Yeah.
What is going to be the biggest surprise for a longtime Skillet fan listening to this record for the first time?
I can tell you right now, the biggest surprise is going to be a song called Finish Line. And it is, I don't know if I'm allowed to say it, but it's actually my favorite. We took a big risk on that song. It's very unlike Skillet. It is very swaggy, which is like Skillet, but it's got a little bit more of a pop element and a more less hard rock metal feel.
Sure.
We obviously have a ton of heavy stuff on this album too, which some of it's released already. Songs like Save Me and Legendary, both quite heavy. But we took a risk production-wise on this song called Finish Line, and I think I'm like, this is spectacular. Like, it's just so cool to me. I'm hoping that the Skillet fan isn't too shocked by it, but obviously we've still got all of our bases covered here. But it's like kind of the risky, like, we'll see what people think about this. We went for it, and it's awesome.
Fantastic. Well, we kind of talked about how you feel like it's different for you now that you have Ledger as a project all your own. Of course, the other thing that's changed since the last record is now you've got Fight the Fury, which is John's side project, which is like the very heavy side of what John does. Do you think that John having a side project has had any influence on the way that Skillet music is going? Because I know that, at least to me, my thought was like, well, since he's got this, I wonder if that's going to maybe take some of the heavy juice from Skillet and it will kind of divert it to this new project.
That is great logic. However, I think it's done the opposite.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think what's happened is we've reignited his love for heavy metal.
You've given him a bit more of a taste.
I actually think that that's what's going on here. I think we really unleashed him on the Fight the Fury project, and like that's what John just loves. If he could do anything, it would be heavy, heavy, heavy. The heavier, the better for him. And and he's always kind of riding that line of like, but he also knows that he loves what Skillet has built, and he really loves Skillet too. But if you could just like, if he's going to go work out, this is like his world. You know what I mean? And so I think that you'll definitely see more of a Fight the Fury influence on this album, because he was writing for Fight the Fury while he was writing for Skillet. So he's kind of like in that same world, and I don't think it's as easy to take that hat off, let's say. And so even like in some of the songs that the demos they sent me, I'm like, this is more like Fight the Fury drumming. I'm gonna have to start working really like learning this stuff and getting ready for this album. I'm like, it's really up to my game, that's for sure. And but I like it. I like the challenge, and I like learning and growing each album cycle. And something else that's kind of interesting is, you know, John Cooper produced the Fight the Fury album.
Right.
Corey Cooper produced the Ledger along with Seth Mosley.
Right.
And I think that was a big part of maybe them growing in confidence, and also not really their confidence, but the powers that be that allow.
Sure, yeah.
If you want to produce your own album, but you're on a major record label, you're going to have to get some approval first. They're not going to let anyone produce your album. And I think that them spending those couple of years producing these other projects boosted their confidence and everyone else's confidence in them too. So now we've got this Skillet album coming out that John and Corey produced together.
Right.
And I think that it really freed them up musically, because you didn't have that middleman sort of taming it. And instead we've got like these massive risks they've taken musically, production-wise, writing-wise, that I think has actually allowed us to have some of the strongest music we've ever done. And I think a big part of it is the fact that they were the main like head. They were the ones that, rather than having a producer say, no, I want you to change that line, I want you to take that moment out. They're just like had a unleashed free-for-all on everything they would want to do. And I think the Skillet fan is really going to love that.
Excellent. Now, of course, the album drops, and it's right in the middle of festival season, so you guys have been playing a lot of festivals, like mainstream and Christian festivals throughout the summer, and I know that that's always a lot of fun. Is there anything in particular that's like a favorite thing of yours about playing festivals as opposed to just a tour?
Yeah, I feel like festivals have something special because, you know, you get to, like, Skillet's playing, but then so is Danny Goki, and so is Kerry Jobe. So it's like these last few festivals we've been doing, I've been opening up the night with Ledger, and then I'm closing out the night headlining with Skillet. And it's really cool because then there's Kerry Jobe, John Christ, and random other people in between that are all different genres of music. So the really special thing about festivals is you've not only got your fans there, but you're also able to play for people that would never have necessarily come to your show. And so that's the really special thing about festival season. And not only that, just being in the sunshine and being in the sun. And I find there's something really raw about playing festivals. You know, you don't have the arena with the air conditioning, and it's just pure rock and roll. Like even this last show I did at Creation, it was Skillet's playing at nighttime, but Ledger's playing in the middle of the day, and the sun's beating down on me, and like I can feel my sweat going to my own eyes, and I'm like, hey, nice to be here, you know. And I'm like, but it kind of is really cool because you feel like you're really earning your stripes, and it feels really like raw rock and roll rather than the slick production lights moments. It's like there's just something like this is all about the music, and I kind of really love that side of it, even if it is more challenging as a performer.
Do you think that the difference, or do you think there is a difference between the fan that comes to a festival, maybe even to see you specifically, is different than a fan that just comes out to a tour? I mean, do you think that they're in any way more passionate? And I don't want to disgrace anybody who comes to a tour.
I'm trying to think. I mean, that's a great question. The thing that's wonderful about Skillet is we have the most dedicated and passionate fans in the world. I've never met a fan base that's stronger. Like we're so proud of them, and we feel really honored to have their support. So I definitely say the same Skillet fan that's coming to the festival is the same Skillet fan that's coming to the tour, and they're both freaking awesome. We just see them wherever we go, and we feel really thankful for them. They're so loyal. You know, if we're playing next to Metallica, AC/DC, they'll be there. If we're playing next to Kerry Jobe, we'll be there. They're just so incredible. So I wouldn't say there was a big difference. The only thing that can be hard about festivals is if they're standing out in the rain all day, or like, you know, if they've been there since 2 p.m. and then we play at 10 and they've been in the beaten down sun. I'm just like, oh, I pray they have the energy. The thing is, the panheads always do. So that's what's awesome. But I recognize that festivals can be like a long time to wait for your favorite band, and so we really feed off the Panheads especially. They're just incredible fans.
Nice, nice. Well, getting back to the new record, you mentioned that Cory and John kind of co-produced this one. How did that lead to things feeling different in the studio recording this one as opposed to maybe years past?
Yeah, I feel like some of the funny and interesting things that felt different is, well, we did it all locally, so there was just like a more relaxed sort of setting. You know, normally we'd fly to LA, we're working with some of the biggest rock producers in the world, you're spending so much money on a studio, it's like, if you don't get this done in a few takes, you're wasting everyone's time and money, and you feel that pressure really intensely. Whereas this time, because it was all local in a Milwaukee studio or at the Cooper's house, there's just sort of like a real opportunity to experiment musically. There's not all that pressure on you, like, get this done and get it right and move on. It's like, oh, let's try another version. Let's try this. You know, there's just so much more room for that, which is what I mean by, in the end, they were able to take bigger risks because you just have the time. And you don't have that kind of pressure on you. And so I'd say that would be the biggest difference in what it was like recording with them. And then kind of more interestingly, like as a drummer, when John's more heavily influencing the production on a song, he is such a metal guy. Like, what they're wanting from me on the drums is more metal sounding. Whereas when I'm like, Cory's more heavily influencing the song, it's like she loves U2 and alternative music and or the Police. So like what they'll be wanting from me as a drummer is like way more like Stuart Copeland, or just, it's really interesting working with people with such opposite musical taste. And then I really like it because it's a big challenge, but it's also like just interesting working with them, and like I see their influences and what they're wanting here, and because they're like my best friends. I've known them since I was 18. It's been 12 years of working with them, so I love that, and you'll really hear it on the album. You'll hear their different musical tastes and preferences showing through at different moments of the songs, and it's really special because of that. It feels very authentically Skillet and very like, this is the empire they've built, and this is the music they've built, shining in all its glory. You know, no one in the middleman buffering it down this time.
So if John and Cory disagree on how the drums should be played on a song, who wins?
Depends on the day. Depends who's scaring me the most. We know each other so well. It's just like, I feel like if I disagree right now, this could be really bad. For the most part, it's always like, honestly, we get along so good, but it's hard when you know each other so well, because you're like, they may have said this, but I know they meant this. You know what I mean? So you just read it. The Holy Spirit guides me, and it's totally fine.
Nice. So you guys are going to be playing these Christian festivals, and like we said, a few mainstream festivals. Then you guys are heading out on some big tours this fall,
man.
playing with Seven Dust for a while, then playing with Alter Bridge. What about those excites you the most?
They are, honestly, I feel the pressure of it a little because they're just such legit rock musicians that it's like, we can't show up and be rusty. It's like, there's like a sense of like musicianship on these tours where everyone's up to their game. So I feel that pressure, but I also love it. I'm like, I really love that we do both markets, and we have the opportunity to be with such incredible rock bands. That these are like bands. They're the bands that other rock bands love, if that makes sense. It's the musician's musician, as they say. And so there's just something about getting to do such raw rock music that I always feel honored, because, you know, rock and roll is kind of, you know, it can be quite dark. You know, some of the fans coming, they don't want anything to do with church or any, like nothing to do with anything holy. No way. You know, we're here to have a good time and rock and roll. And I always feel so honored, and just, I always feel like the presence of God with us when we get to the fact that God would create Skillet and its music that reaches into the darkest of dark places, and the people that want nothing to do with him, still he brings his presence there, still he shines his light there. And the amount of people we get to meet that, you know, I was on drugs, but your song has saved me from that. God used that, and now I've been clean ever since. Or, you know, people that just want nothing to do with him, he still reaches them. And that's what I feel so passionate about being in Skillet. And that's why I feel so excited to do these tours. not that we're like there to preach at people, but we are there to just be a light and be a hope. And then not only that, we get to play alongside some of the greatest musicians in the world, and it's a very big honor. And I can't believe God's allowed me to be a part of any of it. I'm like, how is this my life? This is so cool,
Yeah. It seems like that would be a really humbling experience. I mean, to
Absolutely.
think, I mean, and I don't play music, so I, wouldn't know firsthand, but it seems like there would be a kind of it would be easy to forget when you're writing a song and recording it, maybe doing your, fifth or sixth take on the song, and you're kind of getting lost in kind of the minutia of just getting it exactly right, and then you get done with it, and you're like, finally it's over, and then you hear from somebody that has made like a real measurable impact on their lives. That's huge.
It's huge. You really hit the nail on the head, because it's just like sometimes you're in your world and you don't always get to see what God's doing on the outside. You don't always know. You don't come face to face. You just feel the work and you feel the toil at some points. But when you come face to face with someone that's like, you're just reminded with how much God uses music, and how the fact that you get to do music for a living, one, is just already rare and like a blessing in itself, because that's not easily done.
Right.
But then to be face to face with people and know God used your song, or something you're even just associated with, to impact them that massively, it's humbling is the only way to describe it. I am always like, I look to my left and right, and there are a million drummers that could do this a lot better than me. They have more chops than me. They find it easier to perform than me. But God's allowed me this absolute privilege of being on this platform. And so I just always hope that I can point to him with my life, so that if they do really love our music, when they realize why we do it, or whatever it is, even if just like girls like copying me because of my hair color or my drumming, I'm like, if they're going to copy me, I hope that when they look at me, they see something of hope and they see light and they feel like empowered to keep fighting for their lives. And it's just so cool. I can't believe we get to do this. It's awesome.
Fantastic. Well, what else do you want people to know about the record in general? I mean, it's coming out August 1st, so if you're watching it before now and it's not exactly a month, August 1st, Victorious is the name of the record. There's already a few songs that are already available with the pre-order and all that good stuff.
Yes.
But what would you say is the thing that you want people to know that they can look forward to?
I think that what we'd love people to know about this album is it is an album about basically facing the real things we fight in life. It's an empowering album. It's an inspiring album. It's really very much so. What we want people to remember is, because culture has shifted so much now into everything is awesome, you're amazing, life is amazing, look at my social media, we're so amazing.
Right.
And it actually has, created a sense of, I think when people face struggles, they're like, what's wrong with me? Am I crazy? Am I wrong? It makes them feel isolated and alone. And what we want to do to reach people with Victorious is just remind them, actually, that's not true. The truth is that life is a battle. You're going to have to face some really hard things, but you can actually be victorious in it all. And something that, maybe for someone, being victorious actually means choosing to stand up and face the day. Yeah. It doesn't mean you're going to win a ton of money and be the next reality TV star. What we see as victory is actually just choosing to live your life the way you want to, the way that you feel proud of. And when you face the end of your life, you look back and you're like, I didn't compromise who I wanted to be. And that's what it means to be victorious. And I think culture can kind of confuse that a little now. And we just want to remind people, you can do it. Face what's in front of you. It might feel mundane at times. It might not feel as glorious or glamorous as you thought. But you're here. You can win, and you can live a life in a way that's going to make you really proud at the end of it.
That's a mic drop moment. I like that. That's fantastic.
I already broke this one time, right?
Yes. We'll try not to do that again.
We didn't do this take one time before and then have to redo it again. A real mic drop moment.
The very first interview I ever did for my show, I hit record one few times. So I had to do the entire thing over again.
Dude, haven't we all done those things? And you think, I hope no one ever finds out. But then you tell the story because you're like, it's too funny to keep this a secret.
That's right. Well, one thing that I've uncovered in past interviews with you, that you're a big fan of kids' movies.
Yeah.
So have you gotten a chance to catch any of the new ones that are in theaters right now?
I haven't seen Toy Story 4 yet.
Oh, me neither.
I've heard awesome stuff about it.
Right.
I did see Aladdin.
Okay.
I liked it. You know what I'm struggling with? I'm struggling with some of these new remakes of the movies because it's like, I sound like a music snob, but I think you're going to get me. It's like they get people that can't sing at all, and then they like, you know what I mean? And then they like draw in with auto-tune the exact notes. I'm not against auto-tune, but I am against like, we've removed all emotion.
Right.
And like Aladdin has such incredible songs.
Yeah.
And is anyone ever going to beat Robin Williams at the Genie? It's just like, there's a few things that I was like, okay, it is really good. I did really enjoy it. But the originals has something special in my heart that I just don't think any of these new ones can compete with. You know what I mean?
Well, that being said, and I was already going to ask this, so I'm kind of pigeonholing myself into this.
Yeah.
So if you could pick the next reimagined animated feature to be live action, which one would you pick? One that hasn't been done.
I know I would cast me as the star.
All right.
Just kidding.
Take note, Disney.
I don't know. I'm a huge fan of Mulan. That was one of my favorite movies. Or Anastasia. I love that.
Okay.
They're not the well-known ones, but they really got me. So Disney, if you're listening, I think I know someone that would be really good acting in those movies. I just saying, do you need a drummer? She can do that too. Like, whatever you need. Yeah.
Yeah, we can write that in. I'm sure there's a way we can write that in.
Send some requests for me, please.
There you go. And then, of course, anytime I have an interview with anybody, and we've been through this before, but you bang the drums. You've got your own project. You've got Skillet. But what is the most un-rock and roll thing about you?
Un-rock and roll. Oh, man, I don't know. There's so many un-rock and roll things about me. I'm like, my dream is to be in my pajamas watching Netflix, so that's not very rock and roll at all. And then I actually just really love to draw. I think I've told you that before. Like, people will ask me what I do in my downtime, and I think they assume that I'm going to be someone that loves, like, I don't know, going into the city. And we were just talking about this earlier, how because I travel so much, I think I never really want to do crazy, exciting adventure things when I am home. And instead, I'm like, if I can like be home and have coffee in one hand and be drawing in the other, that would be like my... It sounds so old womanish, but it's just like...
But it's relaxing.
It's super peaceful, man. It's peaceful. It's like alone time. It's just everything I really like. It's just, I'm so busy, I never really get to do it.
Well, you
but...
get plenty of the other stuff on stage and on tour.
Yeah,
I mean, you get your fill of that.
I'm fine, yeah.
Right? No, I totally understand. I would be the exact same way. And, of course, I'd be remiss if I didn't ask, is there any more Ledger music coming out?
Yeah, well, right now we are like all guns blazing, getting this Ledger, the Skillet project out, and we have been pretty busy with that. But we're already talking about me. I'm hoping that John and Cory would help me produce the Ledger project too. And I've kind of got some verbal yeses, and I think that this is in the works, but it's not in writing just yet. So I'm like, but yeah, we've been talking about what kind of influences production-wise, what are we going to be going for? And like the Ledger project came out. I did like some more rock stuff and then also some more slightly softer stuff, like completely.
Sure.
And kind of just wanting to see what the fans like from me and get a read on, is this working? Do you guys, and letting the fans give me some direction on what I'd be doing next. And obviously my writing's always going to sound like me, but I do like knowing like the fact that they accepted a song like completely from me, which is quite pop compared to Skillet.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, I've got more room. I've got more room here to be a bit more experimental on the album than I would have on the EP. So I'm really kind of excited to see. I've already got like 50 songs that I'm like, do I just write new ones, or do I use these and like reshape them and refine them, or do I just keep writing? And we're going to kind of start having those conversations once the Skillet album is out and we'll make those panheads happy, and then we'll move on to the next thing too. We'll just keep serving them music. That's the new thing, whether it's Ledger, Fight the Fury, Skillet, we're just hoping to like dish it out,
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go. Cool. Well, whatever it looks like. I mean, anything that's been, of course, Completely was a single, and then, the EP as well. I mean, I think that you did a great job at all of it.
Thank you so much.
I'm down for whatever.
Dude, there'll probably be all of, the nice thing is about an album is you're allowed more choices of songs. Do you know what I mean? So, on an EP, if you put one soft song on it, it's like the whole thing feels softer. But whereas on an album, you've got room to do really rock stuff, room to do that, and then it's not tainting the entire experience as much as EP is hard to pick songs for, because you're like, they're only going to hear like 5. So which side of me do I want to represent first? And that was like a really high pressure thing, but I feel like we did a great job, and I'm really excited to follow it up with more stuff.
Fantastic, fantastic. Well, is there anything else you want to tell fans before we wrap up?
Make sure you check out our new single, Legendary. We also have Save Me and a song called Anchor out available on iTunes now. And we are just super pumped. This new album is something we're really proud of. We've been working on for a really long time. And we would love to know what you guys think about it. So please reach out to us on social media at Skillet Music or at Jen Ledger. We're really wanting to know what your thoughts are, and we can't wait to interact with you online. And I think that's everything. We're just really excited. Thank you so much for having me here today.
Absolutely. Thank you, Jen. Well, this is Jen Ledger. I'm Paul Gibson from the Christian Rock 20 and CCM Magazine. We'll catch you guys next time. Thanks
See ya.
again.